And, the fact that you got people inside the organization turning on them right now and throwing all that dirt on them right now. It seems like inside sabotage. Because if you really believe that your team is going to win and you believe that this is it, you're not going to be throwing all this stuff out, because when he gets back in town, he's going to be trying to find out who leaked all this stuff, who's been talking, who's been running their mouth. They need to be gone. If you throw dirt on his name and kick him out, a lot of other free agents are going to be reluctant to come there.
Gilbert Arenas reacts to the Clippers being done with Kawhi Leonard. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
A lot going on. So we know about the marketing deal with Aspiration, the no-show job NBA currently investigating, taking a lot of twists and turns there. But a lot of information reports coming out about Kawhi's time with the Clippers. A lot of insiders, people who want to remain anonymous, saying that Kawhi's been a nightmare to deal with. A lot of stuff going on internally behind the scenes, a lot of demands. They talk about his Uncle Dennis and kind of all the things going on there. I think a lot of the stuff he's asked for, not necessarily outside of the range of what a superstar of his magnitude should ask for, but Kawhi in the midst of that 3-year, $153 million contract that he signed. I think he's got 2 years left on that. A lot of reports saying that the Clippers want to, or some amongst the organization want to part ways with him. I looked to 2027. Yeah. but just saying, the juice hasn't been worth the squeeze during his time, been hurt a lot. Obviously appeared in less than 60% of the games. I think they've only won 3 playoff series during his time in LA. Obviously, when he came, they thought him and PG were going to bring championships. Must have forgot this is still the Clippers, ladies and gentlemen. They're still the Slippers. No matter how you rebrand, reshape, new arena, whatever you're doing, still the Clippers. But, yeah, so according to one Clippers insider says, quote, "This has been a nightmare. He's an incredibly talented player when he's healthy, but as everyone knows, he's rarely healthy, and his camp is just so difficult to deal with. His time here, thankfully, is coming to an end soon." This was in the Dallas Hoops Journal. There was also an article by Baxter Holmes from ESPN today detailing, outlining, chronicling what it's been like with Kawhi, I think, over the past 6 years during his time in LA. But, y'all, I just want to get your opinion. You hear the situation, the saga going on.
Yeah, I understand if the Clippers are frustrated with Kawhi, why offer him that contract extension last season? So you're going to pay him even more money, but his availability is in question. And now all the reports are coming out with this alleged scam going on for $28 million plus. So you did all that for a Kawhi Leonard that isn't available. Very good player when he's healthy, but his health is going to be in question because he's going to miss at least half the season minimum. Don't know if he's going to play in a playoff series. You probably got to do load management just so he has a chance to play in the first or second round. So just a lot of headaches dealing with Kawhi Leonard. Again, very good player, a top 10 player when healthy, but so to be going through this with a Kawhi Leonard that you don't know if it's going to play from season to season, I wouldn't have offered him that contract. I would have let him walk and start the rebuilding process with the Clippers.
Listen, okay, we can talk about the past. Yeah, it hasn't panned out, but when he was making these demands, he was hot. Right? He was cooking like flapjacks out there. You know what I mean?
Just want a chip. I'm just
Yeah. Chip finals MVP. So I'm pretty sure, to come to the Clipper squad, he demanded a lot of stuff. You wasn't going to get him without it. So you got him and PG. So I'm pretty sure he was asking for everything that he can get his eyes on. I would have. Anybody would have. Like you're talking about where he was at that moment in time. So, you couldn't match. You got to remember, he was going to make more as a Toronto Raptor. So for them to match it, they had to give extra shit, right? I won't. If he said I want half of Malibu, okay, let's go. Right?
Well,
I want free downtown, like whatever he wanted in that moment in time. They were going to give it. They were going to give it to him for him.
Yeah, I get the first go around when he was leaving Toronto, won the championship. Kawhi Leonard still in his prime at that time, and his injuries weren't that bad. But the injuries just got worse when he signed on that dotted line with the Clippers. So, again, 2019, 2020 Kawhi, by all means, go all out legally. But to go ahead and re-sign him after everything, the first few seasons, should have just let him walk. But they dropped the ball and wasted a lot of money with Kawhi.
That is just business.
And I think from some, so Baxter Holmes, a very well-respected journalist, a person I respect a lot. I think he interviewed like over a dozen people, Clippers insiders, other GMs, people kind of just familiar with the situation. So a lot of people on the Clippers side basically they saw how that relationship with the Spurs and why that relationship tarnished, ultimately ending with him going to Toronto, winning a chip. Everybody, I think, agrees at that point the trade, obviously sending SGA and all that to get PG. Kawhi told the Clippers, I'm not coming unless y'all get PG. So Clippers frantically get that deal done. Everybody at that time, I think, PG finished top 3 in MVP voting that season with OKC. So everybody makes that trade at that point. But obviously that duo left much to be desired. But just looking at it, I think Kawhi was eligible for a 4-year, $220. He signed the 3 for $153 last year. Mm-hmm. Just because the Clippers had a little bit of leverage, knew that any other team that was going to try to sign him was going to look at his health reports, his injury reports, and they were more or less covering up a lot of that information to protect Kawhi, as was one of the criteria for him coming to the team. He said, don't say shit about me, don't say shit about my health. They've been fined numerous times, investigated. Doc Rivers, back when he was coaching them, obviously, got fined for saying Kawhi was healthy when it was proven that he wasn't.
Again, they did everything, moved mountains for Kawhi Leonard. And again, I get it, years ago, coming off that championship, but to still be doing the most, knowing that he's injury-riddled every single season with his initial first stint, again, you got to let Kawhi walk. You mortgage your future, a potential Hall of Famer, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to trade for Paul George, which at the time may have seemed decent, but I ain't gonna lie, if I was the Clippers at that time, I'm like, nah, we keeping SGA. If you want to come here, cool, but we're not trading for Paul George because you're in a similar situation. Maybe not that volatile like a Kawhi Leonard and his uncle Dennis, but still, you're dealing with a player in Paul George where you're going to have to pay $150 to $200 million to retain him, and at the same time, got to deal with the injuries. So bad luck by the Clippers. They dropped the ball.
But it just seems like a lot to deal with to not get to the finals.
No, listen, when that Kawhi trade happened, everybody and their mama who hated LeBron James, who hated the Los Angeles Lakers, somehow became Team Clippers.
Yep.
I mean, the Clippers were favorite to win everything. Like I remember I went to game 1, Clippers came back and won that one, right? Their first match. And everybody, it's Clip City championship, boom, boom, boom. It happened, right? They go into the bubble. Clippers is favorite to win the chip in the bubble.
Then what happened?
It was a real championship when the Clippers was favorite. When the Clippers was favorite, everybody was talking about how amazing this Clipper team is and how this championship is validated. Soon as they lost to Denver, oh, it went Mickey Mouse like a mother. Oh, it went PG-13 for sure after that. I mean, didn't Doc Rivers got fired before the game ended? He already had the Philly job before that game. And we were hearing about that he came in from golfing, and then Kawhi's, I think, mother was like, yo, you pretty happy about your golf score. I guess he was really happy about his golf score. And they didn't think he was worried about the game and focused on the game. And they kind of challenged that. And when he lost, he was basically on an out. So
yeah, they tried to hype up the Clippers versus Lakers rivalry. I think a lot of people within the media, they fell for it. But that version of the rivalry is officially over. Paul George is gone. Kawhi Leonard, he's on one leg. You don't really have the same players that you had. Anthony Davis, he's in Dallas. So that whole rivalry is officially over. Yeah, it'll be must-see TV for a little bit. But again, if Kawhi ain't playing, James Harden, 100 pounds overweight, don't really got the necessary players, all-star type players to really command a lot of attention. But I'm sure the media, they'll try their best to still hype it up. But that whole rivalry is officially over.
As soon as that game was over with, he was already on the phone with Elton Brand. Hey, how you doing? You got a job for old boy over here? But, the fact that, everyone turned their back now, it didn't pan out, right? You put your eggs in the basket. It is what it is. I mean, if you rewind back, you're still going to make that deal. They won 3 playoff series. That's great. It's Clippers. Right? It's Clippers. Let's not beat around the bush and act like this was a real franchise that's been balling and making great sound decisions, over the last 40 years. They haven't. It's their dynasty.
Yeah, that's true. They played up to their name, but to invest that much money, the sell of the team, Steve Ballmer taking over, willing to spend a lot of money, or at least on paper. You would think they would at least had a chance to win a championship. But with the injuries of Kawhi and Paul George, the addition of James Harden still not making a difference, they spent a lot of money just to be bounced out in the first and second round every single season.
But anyway, back to this whole Clippers situation. The Clippers got a squad. Let's just call it what it is. Let's be real. Like, got Bradley Beal, John Collins, got Brooke Lopez coming through, CP3, year 21, Harden back. I'm just saying they have a crew over there. It seems like it may be this year or bust for Kawhi in this Clippers team. If Kawhi can stay healthy. So previously that year, I think he signed the extension, played 68 games that year. I want to say he was second team All-NBA, if I'm not mistaken. This past year did not do those things. But they were talking too about the Olympics, right? So he pulled up to the Olympics. They found out that he had surgery in like May. So he showed up there, I want to say late June, early July. And the Olympic Committee didn't know about it. So the Clippers tried to vouch for him, say, no, he's good to go. They were saying he was looking sluggish out there. That's why they ended up sending him home. We saw him pull up with that baby suitcase.
Yeah, he had the smaller suit. It looked like he was there for the day. It didn't look like he was making a goddamn team. I can tell you that for sure. We even called that out.
Yeah.
He looked like he had a whole bag. He was over there just coming in for the night. He was coming in for one night.
Yeah, the Clippers, they got a decent squad, but you got a Bradley Beal that's been injured majority of his career. You got an aging Chris Paul that's pretty much out the league next season. Brooke Lopez, decent center. You got a James Harden that's battling weight issues. And then you got a Kawhi Leonard, again, that you don't know that's going to play 30 to 40 games per season. So on paper, the Clippers look okay, but they got an aging team. Kawhi's only under contract for this season and next season, and they can finally move on from him. Or maybe he'll persuade them to sign him to another extension in 2 years.
Flew the workout to Vegas with no intention of letting her stay long. Sent her right back.
This team, it just seems like this is probably the best squad that they probably had. And now you have all this Kawhi drama surrounding it. And, the fact that you got people inside the organization turning on them right now and throwing all that dirt on them right now. It seems like inside sabotage. Because if you really believe that your team is going to win and you believe that this is it, you're not going to be throwing all this stuff out, because when he gets back in town, he's going to be trying to find out who leaked all this stuff, who's been talking, who's been running their mouth. They need to be gone.
But I think the consensus now in the field is like, well, Kawhi, you don't run around here anymore. Everybody seems like around the league gearing up for free agency 2027, Giannis, Joker potentially. A lot of people, I've seen reports like 8 or 9 teams are preparing to try and make these big plays for Giannis and Joker, but they can only be on one team. So a lot of you is going to strike out. So a lot of you are saving money, trying to have cap flexibility, and you're not getting these dudes.
Yeah, I don't think anybody dined them out with the Clippers. It was just a lot of investigation going on, journalism with Pablo Torre. So I don't think anybody consulted with the Clippers or they exposed any information. You just had a journalist that did his research just as far as that scam company. So Kawhi shouldn't feel a certain way. It is what it is. You got outed by a journalist, and you just gotta take it for what it is. You got a lot of money with the Clippers. You didn't live up to expectations, and hopefully the Clippers can move on sooner than later.
Yeah, the fact that you're gonna treat Kawhi like this, and he's the only superstar that's came there willingly. I don't see. Like I'm just trying to figure out, like, when you're talking about getting someone of that stature in that jersey, and this is how you're going to end the relationship. Your money can't change, the history of something.
Yeah, I believe he's eligible for an extension next summer, if I'm not mistaken, as well. That'll be.
He got an extension every other year.
They not sign him.
Sounds like
my money.
But I mean, it's one of those things where you bit the Kawhi, you gotta sit with it. It's you have to. Like, it's more about the legacy that you're trying to leave, right? If you throw dirt on his name and kick him out, a lot of other free agents are going to be reluctant to come there.
No, I don't believe so, because people know around the league, players, front office execs, owners, They know what's going on with Kawhi Leonard. He got a lot of money. He's not playing. Still a good player, but he's out for a majority of each season for most of his career. So it is what it is. People won't feel a certain way. Steve Ballmer still has respect amongst owners and players in the league. He pretty much saved the Clippers by buying the team from the previous owner after those statements and comments. So I don't think people will feel a certain way or turned off from joining the Clippers. If there's money in place to sign another whale, another all-star superstar player, players will consider the Clippers, but they just got to build a team. They got to build a culture. It all starts with getting rid of Kawhi Leonard, moving on from James Harden eventually, maybe collecting a few draft picks for a few seasons and try to rebuild that team. So again, Kawhi Leonard got to go. It was good while it lasted. Had some good moments, but to pay all that money to Kawhi, James Harden, Paul George, and not make an NBA Finals and not even have a chance to win, the Clippers failed. The scam stuff, allegedly, that's being put out there, they got to start this whole thing all over again. It's time to rebuild with the Clippers and get rid of Kawhi Leonard.